Watching advertisements is one of my favorite time passes. I get really fascinated by the way they tell a complete story in just a few seconds. This time it is an advertisement by Apple for the new MacBook Pro that has left me amazed. The ad begins with a burst of bulbs, and for the next 1 minute you see the entire evolution of human race and the bursting of bulbs happening. Both of these things happen in a parallel, so one gets curious as to what the person is trying to convey. They take us right from the fire age to the internet and automation. So when the last bulb bursts, you see this black screen. On it is written the machine where ideas are invented, and you see the MacBook. Spellbinding and striking both at the same time. The reason that I really like this is because they are not trying to tell you something, they're just trying to say they are the best. Things like these motivate people and create a deep connection. Advertisement industry, in my opinion, surely plays an important role in the sales of the product. With the social media booming and impacting lives, there's no doubt it is not just about the product anymore. You surely can have a good one, but if you don't present it well, it is gone.
Alright, so here is a task that requires you to talk about an object. I mean, it might not be a tangible object, but an advertisement is still an object. So here are the cues. You should say which company advertisement it is, what it's about, why you like it, and explain your opinion on, I think there's an article missing here, it should be the advertisement industry. This is the way I got it, so that's why I didn't include the. I don't think this is a normal cue. Because normally the cues are WH questions. You see which, what, why. This one, explain your opinion on the advertisement industry. This is kind of a weird cue. I don't think in the real test you will ever see anything like this in part 2. That's more of a part 3 thing to talk about. Okay, so let's hear the response.
Watching advertisements is one of my favorite time passes.
Okay, so time passes. I think it should be, is one of my favorite ways to pass time, not time passes.
I get really fascinated by the way they tell a complete story in just a few seconds. This time it is an advertisement by Apple for the new MacBook Pro that has left me amazed.
Okay, so she has an introduction here, how she's fascinated by advertisements, and this time she's going to talk about an advertisement for the new Apple MacBook Pro. It's kind of an unusual introduction, but hey, it's a good thing if you give unusual introductions in part 2. Remember, the examiners listen to hundreds of people. If you can say something original, go for it.
Apple for the new MacBook Pro that has left me amazed. The ad begins with a burst of bulbs, and for the next 1 minute you see the entire evolution of human race and the bursting of bulbs happening. Both of these things happen in a parallel.
Okay, so you might have noticed that this woman has a bit of an English accent, but that doesn't necessarily mean that her pronunciation score is going to be higher. Just because you have accent A or accent B doesn't matter. What the examiner is looking at is, does your accent influence your comprehensibility? Is it more difficult, or is it easy for the listener to understand what you're saying? So just because you have an accent, that doesn't matter. What is more important is, you'll see here when she says the word burst, you'll notice how she emphasizes burst.
Bursts of bulbs.
Well, I missed it now. Hang on, let's go back a little bit.
MacBook Pro that has left me amazed. The ad begins with a burst of bulbs.
Notice that? A burst of bulbs. I'm not entirely sure what the bulbs are. Maybe she means like light bulbs, I'm not sure. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm just talking about the burst, how she emphasizes burst. So, using stress, effectively using stress, especially over the whole 2 minutes, that is a better way of improving your pronunciation score than thinking about accent by itself. Now she keeps on talking about the bulbs. It's a little bit difficult for me to know what she's talking about. Maybe it's like light bulbs. I don't know. I've never seen this ad. Just one thing. Because a race is not a tangible noun, so we need the article the, so of the human race.
For the next 1 minute, you see the entire evolution of human race and the bursting of bulbs happening. Both of these things happen in a parallel.
For parallel, there should be no article, so just happen in parallel. Coming to think of it, maybe she means they happen at the same time, which, if that's the case, then she should be saying both of these things happen simultaneously, if that's what she means. If two things happen at the same time, they happen simultaneously.
So one gets curious as to what the person is trying to convey. They take us right from the fire rate to the internet and automatician.
Okay, so here are some words that she uses that I can't quite make out. Is she saying fire rate, fire age? She uses the word automatician. I don't know if she means automation. Automation would be when people started using machines. So one problem is the words are not clear. Another problem is that the word she's using the wrong form of the word. So this is a problem with both pronunciation and also vocabulary.
So in the last bulb bursts, you see this black screen. On it is written the machine where ideas are invented, and you see the MacBook.
Okay, so if you're just talking about grammar, so here it says on it is written. So she's using the passive voice, which is a nice change from the normal active voice.
Are invented, and you see the MacBook. Spellbinding and striking, both at the same time. The reason that I really like this is because they are not trying to tell you something. They're just trying to say they are the best. Things like these motivate people and create a deep connection.
Notice again here, deep connection, how she stresses the deep. And also notice that she pauses between ideas. She doesn't just rattle off sentence after sentence after sentence.
Advertisement industry in my...
Okay, but again, she seems to have a problem with articles. So here again, it should be the advertisement industry. So we've seen this come up maybe 2 or 3 times now, which means it's a systematic error. So she always has errors with these. So for example, to get an 8 for grammar, you cannot have systematic errors where you make the same error again and again and again.
Opinion surely plays an important role in the sales of the product. With the social media booming and impacting lives, there's no doubt it is not just about the product anymore. You surely can have a good one, but if...
A good what? What's the thing?
Surely can have a good one, but if you don't present it well, it is gone.
Okay, so the idea is kind of lost on me because I couldn't understand what she was saying. Now, one thing is, if I look at the length, let's see, it starts here. I wish I could see the time. What time is it here? About 10 seconds in. So she spoke for about 90 seconds. It's too short. If you speak for 90 seconds, the examiner is probably going to ask you to expand on 1 or 2 points that you mentioned before. And if you speak for 90 seconds in part 2, it probably means that the examiner is going to think that you're not able to speak at length. So length is a problem. Another problem is that, well, this is not really a very realistic example. This is someone sitting in front of a piece of paper and just reading from the paper. There are a lot of words that she says that I can't quite make out. So even though that accent might sound attractive, her pronunciation score is not that great. I think the best thing about this is probably the vocabulary.